My child, you've waited long enough. You've circled the same questions, stared at the same options, and rehearsed the same doubts for far too long, and now I'm stepping in, not with frustration, but with fire. Because I love you too much to let you remain stuck when I've already made the way forward clear. This is not the moment for hesitation. This is the moment for movement. You're not waiting on me anymore. I'm waiting on you. I know you've wanted confirmation. You've asked for signs. You've tried to be careful, spiritual, discerning, and I saw that. I honored it. But discernment is not disobedience in disguise, and caution is not the same as faithfulness. You're not being wise by holding back when I've already spoken. You're not being reverent when you delay obedience. You're being bound by fear, and it's time for that fear to break. Let's be clear, I did speak. I did confirm, I did lead. And deep down, you know that. You felt it in your spirit even when your mind tried to argue. You've returned to the same word again and again, rereading it, revisiting it, hoping I'd say something else, something easier, something safer, something that felt more manageable. But I haven't changed what I said. I won't change it just to make you more comfortable, because I'm not interested in your comfort. I'm committed to your calling. And that calling is active. It's not theoretical. It's not a concept you get to sit with endlessly while waiting for everything to align. Yes, I prepare things in the unseen. Yes, I make the crooked places straight. But there comes a point, this point, where faith is no longer about waiting, but about walking. Not walking blindly, walking based on what I already promised. You don't need new information. You need movement. Because the things I've spoken over you won't come to pass if you treat them like decoration for your soul instead of instructions for your steps. You were not made to collect promises. You were made to walk in them. They're not just beautiful truths to comfort you at night. They are blueprints. They are maps. They are power waiting to be activated. So why haven't you moved? Not because you're lazy, not because you're rebellious, because somewhere along the way, you let fear disguise itself as strategy. You told yourself it wasn't the right time, that you needed more clarity, that you should wait for peace to come. But you misunderstood what peace really is. Peace doesn't always come before the step. Sometimes it comes with the step. Sometimes it doesn't feel like ease. It feels like obedience. And obedience, even when it costs you comfort, always unlocks peace on the other side. I'm not angry at your hesitation, but I am confronting it, because it's not protecting you anymore. It's stealing time, time that could be filled with fruit, time that could be building legacy, time that could be turning faith into impact. I'm not holding your destiny hostage. I've placed the tools in your hands. I've opened the doors. But you still have to walk through them. You still have to say yes in action, not just in intention. You've asked me for freedom. Here it is. The chains aren't holding you anymore. Your own delay is. You're not blocked. You're not excluded. You're not under a closed heaven. You're simply at the threshold, and I'm waiting for your next step. And when you take it, even trembling, even unsure, you'll find I already prepared what's on the other side. I'm not promising that the way will be easy, but I'm promising it will be mine. And that makes it holy. That makes it enough. You don't need the applause of others to move. You don't need everyone's understanding. You don't even need full confidence yet. You just need obedience. Because I bless what follows my word, not what waits for perfect conditions. So this is me speaking again, firmly, lovingly, clearly. It's time. Not to plan more, not to overthink, not to revisit old fears. It's time to walk in what I already said. The dream you keep shelving, take it down. The application you keep delaying, submit it. The conversation you've been avoiding, have it. The opportunity you've labeled too big, reconsider. Not everything you're delaying is about wisdom. Some of it is about fear you haven't named yet. And I'm here to call it out. You are ready, not because you feel ready, but because I said you are. I will not send you where I haven't gone before you. I will not command without also covering. And yes, there will be resistance. That's not a sign you heard wrong. It's a sign the enemy sees what's about to be unlocked if you keep moving. But don't fear the resistance. Fear missing what I've prepared simply because you hesitated too long. I'm with you in the steps. I'm with you in the uncertainty. I'm with you in the follow-through. You don't need to see the whole outcome. You only need to say yes to what's next. You were made for movement. You were born to carry my voice, not just in your heart, but through your life. And I will keep speaking with every step you take, because I'm not done, and neither are you. Let me tell you what's really been holding you back. It's not lack of faith, not entirely. It's the lie that says you need to be flawless before you can be fruitful. Somewhere along the line you absorbed the idea that I only move through the version of you that has everything figured out, that only the strong, the disciplined, the deeply spiritual ones are qualified to step into my promises. But that's never been how I operate. I don't wait for perfection. I work through participation. I didn't call you to this moment because you were the most prepared. I called you because you said yes in your heart, even when your hands still trembled. And I've been training you along the way. Even your delays haven't wasted my plans. I've used them to deepen your roots. But now, what was once a time for equipping has become a place of unnecessary delay. And I want to gently, but firmly, move you forward. You've spiritualized your hesitation. You've told yourself that waiting on me means doing nothing until every detail is confirmed, every outcome guaranteed, and every possible failure accounted for. But that's not how my spirit leads. I never asked you to wait indefinitely on what I already confirmed. What you've been calling wisdom is sometimes fear, dressed in spiritual language. And I'm here to strip that disguise off, so that you can see the truth and step in boldness again. This isn't correction to embarrass you. It's truth to release you. You haven't failed me by hesitating, but you have started believing a version of me that doesn't reflect who I really am. I'm not the God who dangles promises like bait and waits for you to prove yourself. I'm the God who already proved everything through the cross and now asks you to believe that it really was enough, not just for your forgiveness, but for your calling too. Let me ask you something, and I want you to answer honestly in your spirit. What are you waiting for? Not the surface level answer, the real one. Are you waiting for someone else to affirm what I already spoke? Are you hoping that by delaying the step, the cost will shrink? Are you afraid that if you move too soon, you'll mess something up and lose my favor? None of that's true. You're not fragile in my hands. You're not one wrong decision away from disqualification, and you're not as far behind as you think. If anything, you're right on time, not because your timing has been perfect, but because my grace has kept you aligned, even through your delays. So let's expose the fear beneath the surface. You're not really afraid of the promise not coming to pass. You're afraid of what it will demand of you once it starts unfolding. You're afraid of being seen, of being stretched, of being responsible for more than you feel ready for. And I understand that. I do. But I want you to know this. I never call you to carry what I haven't already empowered you for, and I never reveal more than your spirit is able to hold. You don't need to fear exposure. What I reveal, I also cover. What I call you into, I also protect. You're not stepping into a battlefield unarmed. You're stepping into a victory that's already been prepared. And yes, it will stretch you, but it will also grow you. Yes, it will require courage, but it will also unlock joy, Because walking in my promise is not just about sacrifice, it's about fulfillment, about movement, about becoming more fully who I created you to be. Don't forget, I see the whole timeline, you only see today. So when I say now, you don't need to ask, are you sure? You need to remember that I'm not reacting to circumstances. I'm leading you based on an eternal plan that's already accounted for every detail. You've been waiting for conditions to be ideal, but I'm not waiting for the weather. I'm waiting for your yes. And I see it in you. That yes may feel small, hidden, fragile, but it's real, and that's all I need. I don't need volume. I need agreement. I don't need strength. I need surrender. I don't even need certainty. I just need motion. Because once you move, I multiply. Once you step, I sustain. And once you begin, I build. So stop believing the lie that you're not ready. Stop rehearsing the list of reasons why it could fail. Stop holding your obedience hostage to your confidence. Your confidence may come later, but your obedience is what makes room for my provision. I've never asked you to be fearless. I've asked you to be faithful, and faithfulness doesn't mean moving without fear. It means moving anyway, because my voice means more to you than your fear does. Let this be the day where the excuses fall flat. Let this be the moment when the delay ends. You don't need another sign. You don't need another confirmation. You need alignment. And the moment you align, heart, will, and action, you'll find I've been waiting right here, holding everything you'll need for the journey. Because it's time. Not to think more, not to prepare endlessly, not to beg me for what I've already released. It's time to walk in what I promised, and I'll be walking with you. I know why it's hard for you to move. You haven't just been hesitant because you're uncertain. You've been hesitant because you're still carrying memories of when you did step out, and it cost you. I saw those moments. When you obeyed, and things didn't go the way you hoped. When you followed what you believed was my voice, and what came next looked like failure. When you trusted me and ended up heartbroken, confused, or even embarrassed. Those moments didn't disappear. They settled in your nervous system, in your memory, in your reflexes. And now, even when I speak clearly, your body still remembers what it felt like to be disappointed. Let me say this plainly. I see the bruises that obedience left, and I don't ignore them. I don't ask you to pretend they didn't happen. But I also don't want you to build your theology around your past disappointments. Obedience that leads to pain isn't the same as obedience that leads to regret. And I want you to see the difference. You've obeyed me in the past and suffered, not because you heard me wrong, but because you walked through resistance that tried to make you question what I spoke. But what if I told you that those moments didn't disprove my voice? They proved your willingness, that they weren't wasted, they were planting. Pain is not proof of misalignment. Sometimes it's evidence that you are walking in truth. Not all suffering is spiritual punishment. Some is spiritual resistance, because what you were stepping into was dangerous to darkness. The enemy doesn't target passive people. He targets the ones who are close to activation. And you were close. You still are. But now you flinch before obedience. Not because you don't believe me, but because you remember the cost. You wonder, what if I step again, and it breaks again? You think, what if I trust again, and it hurts again? And I understand those questions. They are tender. They are real, but they are not meant to become your anchors. They are wounds, not definitions. And I'm healing them now. You need to know, the pain you experienced in your past obedience wasn't punishment. It was collision. It was pressure against purpose. You were walking against generational patterns. You were breaking out of fear. You were confronting systems that were never rooted in me. And yes, you got hurt, but you didn't walk alone. I was with you. Even when the outcome wasn't what you expected, I was working. Even when the doors didn't open, I was forming something deeper in you. Endurance, discernment, a sharper ear. You think you failed? I say you were formed. There are parts of you that haven't trusted me fully since that last letdown, and I'm not here to scold you for that. I'm here to win your heart back. I'm not asking for blind, empty faith. I'm inviting you to walk with me again, not in ignorance, but in restored trust. You're not naive to hope again. You're brave, and the fear that you felt about getting it wrong again is being broken now, not because you'll never face hardship, but because you'll stop attaching hardship to shame. You are not cursed, you are not forgotten, and you are not disqualified just because your last step forward didn't go the way you prayed. I want to teach you to see results differently. I want to show you that faith is not measured by success. It's measured by movement. Did you move when I said move? Did you return when I said return? Did you follow even when the path looked dim? If yes, then you've pleased me, and that obedience still speaks. But I also know that some of the hesitation you're feeling now isn't just about fear, it's about control. Because when you've been hurt, you start thinking, maybe if I plan better, I can prevent pain. And while strategy has its place, it can become a prison when it replaces surrender. You've tried to calculate your next step so precisely that you've stopped trusting that I can redeem whatever happens next. You've tried to avoid failure by controlling the plan. But I never called you to control. I called you to walk with me. There's healing available for that part of you too, the part that thinks, I can't afford to get it wrong again. Let me lift that weight. Let me remind you that I'm not a harsh master, grading your life with a red pen. I'm your father, and I walk beside you in every attempt. You can't disappoint me by trying to follow me. You don't need to be perfect. You need to be present. And if you fall again, I'll catch you. If something doesn't work the way you imagined, I'll still use it. I don't waste anything surrendered to me. Not the steps, not the setbacks, not the seasons you'd rather forget. They're part of your anointing now, part of what gives your voice authority, part of what makes your obedience so beautiful to me, not because it's clean and perfect, but because it's been costly, and you still said yes. So today, as you feel the pull toward the next step, don't wait for fear to vanish. Walk with fear if you must, but walk anyway, and know that this time, I'm not just asking you to trust my instruction. I'm asking you to trust my heart. The one who called you before your first wound is the same one calling you now, after the bruises, after the silence, after the years you thought were wasted. Nothing's wasted, not even the steps that hurt, especially not those. I want you to notice something. Things around you have already started shifting, maybe not dramatically, maybe not in the way you imagined. But if you look closely, if you quiet your fears for just a moment, you'll see that what I promised is not waiting in the far distance. It's already brushing up against your reality. You've been expecting a trumpet, but I often begin with whispers. That person who suddenly asked you a deeper question, that was me softening their heart. That open door you weren't sure you deserved, that was my favor preceding you. That unexpected clarity in a place that once felt tangled, that was my spirit clearing the path. You've prayed for me to move, but what you didn't realize is that I already have. Your heart moved first, and when your heart began to shift, everything else started aligning with it. You're not stuck where you were. The heaviness you once carried like armor is starting to fall off. The doubt that used to drown every word I spoke is growing quiet. Even the way you talk about your future has changed. Don't dismiss that, just because the headlines of your life haven't changed yet. I do my deepest work in the unseen. And when the unseen aligns, the seen follows in time. You may feel like you're in between promise and fulfillment, between word and manifestation, between obedience and reward. But the in-between is not a void. It's a passage. And I walk it with you. This place you're in is not punishment, it's preparation. It's where I teach you to trust the weight of my voice more than the rush of results. It's where your identity detaches from outcomes and reattaches to obedience. And that's a holy place to be. Even now as you reflect, can't you feel it? The soil under your feet isn't the same. The atmosphere in your soul is lighter. That's not your imagination. That's me. That's the residue of alignment. You've stopped entertaining every voice that questions your readiness. You've stopped begging for signs and started asking for stamina. You're not trying to escape anymore. You're asking to endure. That's growth. That's faith. That's maturity, and heaven sees it. I'm not measuring your progress by speed. I'm measuring it by depth. And you're deeper now. Deeper in trust. Deeper in identity. Deeper in your willingness to believe without guarantees. That's why things are moving. Not just because I decreed it, but because you finally agreed with what I said. Agreement opens movement. So don't be surprised when people around you begin to notice something they can't name. They might call it peace. They might say you're more present. They might say you seem lighter, clearer, steadier. That's not self-help. That's alignment with the spirit of truth. That's what happens when you walk in what I've said instead of sitting in what you fear. You become unshakable, not because life got easier, but because your soul stopped depending on it. You've thought the shift would come with big signs, new jobs, giant leaps, public affirmations. And yes, I can do that. I do that. But the shift often starts in the small. You pause before reacting. You pray before responding. You say no when it costs you approval. You speak up when it costs you comfort. That's where my promises begin to mature. In the private, obedient, holy, small. And those small decisions, they're multiplying. They're creating momentum. They're preparing you for what I've already released in the spirit. Because I've been building things around you while building something in you. And now that the inner ground is steadier, I'm beginning to place weight on your life again. Not to crush you, to trust you. My voice hasn't been trying to rush you. It's been preparing you to carry what I've always wanted to give. So if you've felt subtle shifts, doors opening, opportunities resurfacing, relationships being redefined, that's not coincidence. That's my promise, responding to your agreement. That's what happens when you walk in faith. The world starts to bend around my word. What once felt closed starts to yield. What once felt dead starts to move. Not all at once, but undeniably. And still I know, some part of you is watching for the crash, waiting for the good to unravel. You've grown used to disappointment showing up when you finally start to hope. But let me say this clearly. You're not being set up for disappointment. You're being drawn into fulfillment. And I will not abandon what I've begun. My word does not return to me empty, and neither will you. The small shifts are evidence, and they will grow. But don't measure your journey by how quickly you see public fruit. Measure it by how consistently you're listening, responding, moving. That's where my kingdom lives, in the obedient step, not the visible result. The impact is coming, but the intimacy is already here. Stay in this posture. Keep listening when no one's watching. Keep moving, even when it's quiet. Because what I've started is already growing roots, already breaking through the surface, already shifting the soil under your feet. Don't miss what's forming, just because it hasn't fully appeared. You're not in a holding pattern. You're in a holy process, and I'm already in it with you. Let's talk now about how you walk this out. Not in theory, in reality. Because the promise isn't just spiritual, it's going to affect how you spend your time, where you give your energy, and how you show up in your daily life. And for what I'm building in and through you, you can't afford to live scattered anymore. You need rhythm. You need rest. You need authority over your schedule. Not the illusion of control, but real alignment. That begins by being honest. What are you still giving yourself to that I never asked you to carry? What relationships, habits, or responsibilities are taking more from you than I ever intended? You can't keep calling everything obedience if I didn't assign it. Not everything that needs doing needs to be done by you, and not every demand is divine. Some are distractions dressed in urgency, and if you keep saying yes to every voice, you'll end up too drained to respond to mine. So here's your first instruction. Simplify. Not by running away from everything, but by recalibrating your yes. You can't walk in my promise and stay tangled in other people's expectations. This season requires focus. Not frenzy, not pressure, just focus. I'm not asking for perfection, I'm asking for alignment. And alignment will cost you unnecessary weight. Begin your day by asking me what matters most. Then have the courage to act on what I show you. That may mean declining things that once defined your identity. That may mean pulling back from roles that gave you approval, but not fruit. That may mean choosing stillness over hustle, but it will make room for clarity, and clarity is the path to courage. Second, I want you to protect your body like it matters to your calling, because it does. I gave you that body, not just to survive, but to partner with me. Your physical rhythms are not separate from your spiritual ones. When you ignore your fatigue, you make room for distortion. When you live in constant adrenaline, you mistake tension for discernment. And when your nervous system is overloaded, even my voice feels distant. Not because I stopped speaking, but because your body can't receive it in chaos. So rest deeply, as a discipline, as resistance to the culture of overextension. Rest is not laziness, it's spiritual obedience. Eat with intention, sleep with purpose. Breathe like my spirit is present in each inhale, because he is. You will hear me more clearly when your body is not at war with your spirit. Third, be wise with your time. You've asked me to multiply what you have, but I need you to steward what I've already given. Some of the fruit you're waiting for is tied to time you keep giving away without discernment. I'm not shaming you. I'm inviting you to live with precision. Set sacred hours. Create boundaries that protect your clarity. Learn the difference between divine interruptions and constant distractions. Not every open door is your door, and don't be afraid to slow down. Movement is not the same as momentum. You can be running in circles and calling it progress, but I'm inviting you to move deliberately, not faster, but truer. Your pace must match your assignment. Your soul is not designed to live in spiritual chaos. I'm not sending you out frantic. I'm sending you out focused. Now, about the people around you. Some will not understand this new clarity. They're used to you being constantly available, constantly agreeable, constantly exhausted for their comfort. But you cannot serve others well while abandoning your own alignment. You're not less loving because you've learned to say no. You're not selfish because you're protecting what I've planted. You're finally living like someone who believes the calling's real. And it is real. What I've spoken over you is not abstract. It's not hypothetical. It's unfolding. So begin treating it that way. Steward your calendar like someone being prepared for impact. Guard your conversations like someone carrying something holy. Watch what enters your mind, your heart, your body. What you feed will grow. What you tolerate will take root. And I want you rooted in truth, not pressure. You don't have to impress me with intensity. I'm not looking for dramatic leaps. I'm looking for daily agreement, steady obedience, quiet faithfulness. That's where legacy begins. That's where my promises take shape. One aligned decision at a time. And if you mess up, if you say yes to something I didn't send, or forget to rest, or get distracted again, I won't withdraw. I'll gently bring you back. I'm not looking for perfect execution. I'm building a partnership. And partners grow. Partners learn. Partners adjust. I'm with you in that process. So here's what I want you to remember as you go. What I've promised requires your participation, but not your perfection. It requires your honesty, your daily recalibration, your willingness to say, I want to stay aligned, even if I have to adjust 10 times a day. That's faithfulness. That's what I bless. Let your steps today reflect that you believe me. Let your decisions preach louder than your prayers. Let your calendar agree with what your heart says it believes. Because this isn't just about feeling inspired. It's about becoming consistent. I'm ready to build something lasting with you. Let's start with today. Before you move forward in what I promised, I need to free you from who you think you have to be to carry it. Because you've been trying to walk in your calling while still wearing a version of yourself that was never your identity, only your coping mechanism. You've performed strength, availability, consistency, and resilience for so long that you've started to believe that's who you are. But I never called you to be a role. I called you to be real. You are not the strong one because you never break. You are not the reliable one because you never need rest. You are not the capable one because you never ask for help. Those were masks you put on in survival seasons. Masks that helped you get through what would have crushed you otherwise. And I honored that grit. I saw the cost. But now, you're not surviving anymore. You're being commissioned. And you cannot carry promise while dragging the costumes of old assignments. Let me speak directly. You are not what exhausted you. You are not the expectations that drained you. You are not the performance you perfected to avoid disappointing others. You are not the one who always has to figure it out. You are not the one who always has to carry the emotional weight in every room. You are not the person who can never show weakness. That's not identity. That's captivity. And I'm breaking it off you now. You may feel the tension, that fear of, if I stop being everything for everyone, will I still matter? Will I still be chosen? Will I still be needed? And I'm here to answer that gently but clearly. Yes, you matter because I called you, not because of how well you perform. You are chosen because I said so, not because of how much you do. And you are still needed, but not in the way you've always imagined. I don't need your burnout. I don't need your constant availability. I don't need your forced strength. I need you, the real you, the one who sometimes doubts, the one who sometimes wants to run, the one who aches when no one's watching, the one who wonders, can I actually do this again? That's the version I called, not the polished one, the present one. You've asked me to use you, and I will, but I will not use a mask. I will not pour fresh oil over a persona you built for protection. I want to anoint your actual face. I want to fill your actual voice. I want to move through your actual story. The one with pain, struggle, stretch, and scars. Because it's that story that carries my power, not the edited one. You were never meant to be self-sufficient. That's the world's lie, not mine. I created you to walk in dependent strength, not independence masked as holiness. And the promise I've spoken over your life cannot thrive in a soul that still believes it has to prove itself constantly. That's why I'm inviting you into a new way, one where rest becomes your strategy, where honesty becomes your weapon, where humility becomes your covering. You think I chose you because you were resilient, but the truth is, I called you before you ever had to prove you could endure. I didn't anoint your ability to carry everyone. I anointed your willingness to carry me. And you don't have to do that with gritted teeth. You can carry me gently, quietly, honestly. That's where your real strength lives. Not in what you hide, but in what you're finally willing to release. Some of the fatigue you felt wasn't just physical. It was spiritual exhaustion from trying to live out someone else's version of obedience, trying to match someone else's pace, trying to keep up appearances so others wouldn't worry about you. But you can't carry a calling while pretending not to be human. You can't live a promise while denying your own limits. That's not maturity. That's martyrdom. And I never asked for that. Your gentleness is your new strength. Your surrender is your new strategy. Your truth is your new authority. You don't have to carry everything anymore to be trustworthy. You don't have to stay available to everyone to be faithful to me. You don't have to keep earning your place at the table. You already have a seat. And from that place, from identity, not image, you'll walk differently. You'll start saying no to things that once defined your value. You'll stop needing to explain your choices. You'll walk into rooms without overcompensating. You'll begin to notice the shift. I'm not here to prove. I'm here to carry what God gave me, and that's enough. I want that version of you, not the cleaned up, constantly reliable, low-maintenance one. I want the raw one, the one who's finally safe enough with me to be seen, because that's where real movement happens. Not when you posture yourself for usefulness, but when you surrender to being fully known and fully loved. You're not what they needed you to be. You're not what trauma trained you to be. You're mine. And that's who I'm sending now. Now that you've remembered who you really are, let's talk about how to sustain this. Not with striving, not with pressure, but with rhythm. Because what I've called you to carry needs more than willpower. It needs communion, not performance-driven devotion, but real living relationship. A way of walking with me that isn't occasional, but daily. And that begins in silence. Not empty silence, sacred silence. The kind where your soul stops reaching for the next thing and just listens. Where your prayers aren't measured by length or eloquence, but by honesty. That's where I want to meet you in this season. Not in louder words, but in cleaner presence. Not in striving to feel something, but in trusting that I'm already near. You don't need to wake up every day and perform strength. You need to start the day by returning to the truth. God is still with me. I don't have to force this. I get to receive. Let that be your anchor. Sit in it. Say it aloud if you must. Let your body learn it. Let your mind absorb it. Let your heart be retrained in peace. Then, from that place of stillness, let me instruct you, gently, clearly. Not every instruction will feel dramatic. Some days I'll ask you to rest. Some days I'll ask you to step out. Some days I'll ask you to hold your tongue. Some days I'll ask you to speak boldly. But the rhythm is the same. Stillness, then listening, then obedience. Not reaction, response. And some of you right now need to fast, not from food necessarily, but from noise, from comparison, from false responsibility, from content that stirs anxiety instead of peace. You've been consuming so much that your soul doesn't know what's true anymore. So I'm calling you into a kind of fast that restores clarity, not out of guilt, but out of alignment. That might mean logging off when the world expects you to stay visible. It might mean declining conversations that once gave you comfort, but now bring confusion. It might mean creating quiet mornings again, even if it's only 10 minutes. Not because that earns you something from me, but because it positions you to receive what I've already been trying to give. My voice isn't hidden. It's just often drowned. I also want you to watch what you say in this season. Not out of fear, but out of intentionality. Your words carry weight now. They plant things. They shape things. So speak slowly. Speak truthfully. Speak with the awareness that your voice was made to carry heaven's tone. And when you feel tempted to diminish yourself, pause. That's not humility. That's sabotage. Let your words match what I've spoken, not what your fear rehearses. Some of you need to relearn prayer, not as pressure, but as breath. You don't have to perform for me. I already know what you're thinking. I'm not moved by fancy language. I'm moved by trust. So pray like someone who's safe, like someone who believes I actually enjoy your company, like someone who knows I listen even when the words feel clumsy. Let your prayer become presence sharing, not just problem solving. Others need to rebuild your life around Sabbath again. Not a rigid rule, but a sacred rhythm. A time to stop producing and simply exist. A space to remember that you are not your output. You are not your calendar. You're not what you accomplish, you are mine. And rest is how your body remembers it. There will be resistance. Your culture won't applaud silence. People won't understand boundaries that protect your intimacy with me. Even your flesh will rebel at times, craving distraction, activity, performance. But every time you return to stillness, you push back against the system that tried to convince you that you must earn what I already gave freely. And I want to say this with clarity. These spiritual instructions aren't just for your well-being. They are for your legacy. You cannot pass on a promise you refuse to protect. You cannot lead others into rest if you only know exhaustion. You cannot carry my authority if you remain bound to everyone's expectations. These instructions are not burdens. They are bridges. They connect what I'm doing inside you with what I'm about to do around you. Don't worry if it feels unfamiliar. I will guide you gently, one step at a time. You don't have to create a perfect system. Just create space. I'll fill it. You don't have to design the whole path. Just clear the noise, I'll speak. And when I do, you'll know it. Not because it's loud, but because it brings peace. This season of movement will not be powered by adrenaline. It will be sustained by rhythm. The kind of rhythm that doesn't wear you out but carries you forward. You'll stop asking, "Can I keep up?" and start realizing, "I'm finally walking at his pace." This is the invitation. Slow enough to hear, steady enough to follow, holy enough to last. Because you're not just stepping into a moment, you're stepping into a pattern of life that reflects what I always intended. Not rushed achievement, but daily communion. You will not burn out. You will not dry up. You will not go silent again. Because I'm building this differently, and I'm building it with you. Now let's talk about what's coming. Because I haven't just been preparing your heart in isolation, I've been preparing the ground around you. The things I spoke over your life are no longer waiting in a distant future. They're rising now, quietly, steadily, deliberately. And soon, what I planted in the dark will be impossible to ignore. The promise is no longer just an internal stirring. It's becoming a visible reality. The conversations are already shifting. The opportunities are already forming. People are already being drawn to what I've been shaping in you, some consciously, some without even realizing why. It's my spirit that is drawing attention to you, not for your ego, but for alignment. Because I don't raise up voices to be noticed. I raise them to carry solutions. And I've placed solutions inside of you. Wisdom that was forged in silence. Clarity that came through surrender. And now the world is ready for what I hid in you. I'm opening doors you didn't ask for. Doors you thought were for others. Doors that once terrified you. Doors that used to mock your unpreparedness. But now, I'm bringing you before them again, not as the insecure version of yourself, but as the one who has been with me. This time, you won't knock as a beggar. You'll walk through as a carrier of promise. Because this isn't about opportunity. This is about fulfillment. I will give you words in moments you didn't expect. You'll find yourself saying things that unlock hearts, diffuse conflict, release peace. That's not chance. That's not charisma. That's my spirit flowing freely through someone who's finally in agreement. And the more you speak from alignment, the more I will expand your voice. Influence won't be something you chase, it will be something I entrust to you. Watch how people begin to ask for your input, not because you're louder, but because your presence has changed. Watch how rooms begin to shift when you enter, not because of your title, but because of the atmosphere you carry. You're walking in a new weight, not heaviness, but authority, not pressure, but presence. And it's not because you figured it all out, it's because you finally said yes, all the way down to your daily habits. I'm also restoring what you thought was lost. Things that seemed like missed chances are coming around again. But this time, you'll approach them with the maturity you didn't have before. You won't need to manipulate outcomes. You won't need to strive. You'll simply show up, fully yourself, and I'll do the rest. My favor isn't something you'll have to force. It will meet you at the intersection of peace and obedience. There will be acceleration, but not chaos. I don't rush what I build, but I do redeem time. You'll look back and realize what I thought was a delay was actually deep preparation. And now that the roots are strong, the fruit can grow fast. But don't be afraid of this movement. You're not stepping into something foreign, you're stepping into what I always intended. And your spirit already knows how to walk here, because I formed you for it. Expect my hand in unexpected places. Expect alignment in conversations you didn't orchestrate. Expect confirmation through voices you didn't control. I'm weaving together what felt disconnected. I'm closing the gap between your private formation and your public function. You don't need to chase visibility. You need to remain faithful. I'll handle the rest. Even the enemies of your past season, fear, doubt, false pressure, will try to whisper again as the doors open. They'll say, "You're not ready. You're not worthy. This won't last." But this time, you'll recognize them not as truth, but as noise. You've been trained in silence long enough to discern the difference, and I will silence every voice that tries to contradict what I've already spoken. You are not the same, and what I'm doing now will make that evident. There will be moments where you'll feel the shift. Tangibly, your body will sense the weight of favor settling. Your spirit will feel the pull of purpose. Your environment will begin responding to the authority you carry. Don't shrink back. Don't apologize. Don't delay again. You're not taking up too much space. You're finally taking up the space I designed for you to fill. I'm raising your voice, but not to make noise, to release sound that brings life. You're not here to echo the world's confusion. You're here to declare clarity. You're not here to perform. You're here to plant. And I will make sure that the ground you walk into will respond to the seeds you've carried. So walk in confidence, not arrogance, not impulsiveness, but holy assurance. You're not walking into something random. You're walking into something prepared. You're not walking because you forced it. You're walking because you Gudurat. The shift is not coming. The shift is now, and my favor is moving with you. You've made it through the silence, the surrender, the restoration, the movement. But now comes the part that holds it all together. The part you can't manufacture, strategize, or substitute. My spirit. If you try to carry the promise in your own strength, you'll burn out. If you try to lead in your own wisdom, you'll drift. But if you learn to breathe with me, step by step, day by day, you'll flourish. I didn't create you to move independently of me. Even your clarity isn't enough without my presence. Even your readiness can't replace my rhythm. That's why I'm calling you back to the one source that doesn't fluctuate with seasons, emotions, or outcomes. Let my spirit be your breath, not your backup, not your last resort, your breath. When you feel unsure again, and you will, pause and breathe, not as a technique, as a reminder, he is still here. He hasn't changed. His spirit lives in me. You don't have to force anything when you're walking in communion. You don't have to Convince others when my presence already bears witness. You don't need to carry what you've surrendered. Just listen. Just breathe. Because my Spirit isn't far. He doesn't wait at the end of your obedience to reward you. He walks with you through the middle of it, when things still feel unclear, when you're tempted to strive again, when resistance comes. Especially when resistance comes. The Spirit is not your shield from conflict. He is your power in it, your anchor through it, your clarity beyond it. Some days you'll feel full of faith. Some days you'll feel the fragility of being human. But either way, you're not walking alone. I didn't bring you this far to let you carry the rest alone. I gave you my Spirit, not just as a guide, but as a companion, a comforter, a revealer of truth, and most of all, the one who reminds you who you are when everything around you tries to tell you otherwise. You've learned to hear my voice. Now learn to live in my presence, not just in moments of devotion, but in movement, in work, in conflict, in leadership, in transition. I don't just speak during worship. I whisper when you're in meetings, when you're answering emails, when you're facing decisions that feel too big. Invite me into every part. There's no such thing as too small for my presence. If it matters to you, it matters to me. And don't separate your spiritual life from your real life anymore. That's over. That split was never from me. You don't need to leave my presence to be productive. You don't need to step out of rest to step into responsibility. With my Spirit, you can carry both, clarity and capacity, peace and boldness, stillness and strength. That's what makes you different, not because you're superhuman, but because you're indwelt. This is the rhythm I want for you. Walk, listen, adjust, not panic, perform, collapse. My Spirit won't drive you. He'll guide you. He's not the voice of urgency. He's the voice of timing. And when you learn to trust his pace, you'll realize, I'm not behind, I'm not late, I'm not lost, I'm led. And being led is better than being impressive. So pause now, even here. Feel your breath. That's not just oxygen. That's an echo of me and you. Every breath you take is a reminder, you're still mine, you're still chosen, you're still filled, and you're still safe. There will be moments soon when doors open quickly, when opportunities come faster than you expected, when the visibility grows, and in those moments, you'll be tempted to rely on strategy again, to analyze, to calculate, to grip tightly. But let me remind you now, strategy won't sustain what Spirit started. You can use wisdom, you can plan, but don't return to control. Return to breath, return to presence. You're not the one holding everything together, I am. And my Spirit is not just with you, he is in you. That's not poetry, that's reality. The same Spirit who raised Christ from the dead lives in you. Do you think that power's only for emergencies? Or do you believe he can empower you to build, to rest, to speak, to say no, to lead well, to love deeply? Because he can, and he will if you let him. And yes, there will be moments when you'll still feel unsure, when you'll need to pause again. That's not regression, that's relationship. Don't mistake dependence for weakness. You were made to depend. Not on pressure, but on presence. Not on image, but on intimacy. That's where real strength flows from. So let my Spirit guide your steps, filter your words, set your pace, carry your weight. Let him be the breath between every decision, the whisper before every yes, the peace after every number. You don't need to carry this promise alone. It was never yours to fulfill. It was always mine to sustain through you. You're not walking into this next season by your own power. You're walking by breath, and I'm the one filling your lungs. Now you know. You're not waiting for something to change anymore. The shift already happened. It began in your heart, it echoed in your thoughts, It reached into your identity, and now it has reshaped your direction. Everything that once felt paused is now primed. What felt suspended is now in motion. You are not who you were when this began, and you will never return to that version again. I've made you new in quiet, holy layers. And now, it's time to walk like it. I'm not asking for a dramatic leap, I'm asking for a decisive step, a real one. One that agrees with me in action, not just in desire. You don't need more signs. You don't need perfect clarity. You don't even need all the confidence yet. You just need to move in rhythm with what you already know. I've given you the word. I've given you the preparation. I've given you the permission. Now comes the courage. But don't confuse courage with pressure. You don't need to hurry. This is not a frantic push. It's a holy release. You've been commissioned, not forced. You've been invited, not threatened. And what I've placed in your hands doesn't need to be heavy, it just needs to be honored. So walk gently. Walk steadily. Walk as someone who knows where they're going, not because they've seen the entire map, but because they trust the one who drew it. Your time in waiting was never wasted. Every delay I allowed carried purpose. Every silence held weight. Every hidden moment was doing more than you saw. I never stopped working behind the scenes, and now I'm letting what I've built beneath the surface break through. Not all at once, but undeniably. You won't have to force doors to open. I'm opening them in ways that honor your pace and protect your heart. I've already gone ahead of you. I've prepared spaces that you'll soon step into, relationships that will support you, resources that will flow to you, rooms that will receive what I placed in you. And still, your confidence won't come from those things. It will come from knowing that I'm the same voice who whispered to you in the dark, the same presence who sat with you when you questioned everything. And I haven't changed. You may still feel traces of fear. That's okay. Courage is not the absence of fear. It's the refusal to be ruled by it. You will learn to move with trembling hands and a steady spirit, and every step you take will remind fear that it no longer commands you. You've been marked by something greater. Trust, not in yourself, but in me. You've asked before, what if I fail again? Let me answer clearly. I'm not afraid of your failure. I know how to redeem it. What I'm looking for is not your flawless execution, but your sustained agreement. Your heart aligned with my word. Your life surrendered to my timing. That's success in my eyes. Not results, not applause, obedience, integrity, endurance. That's the legacy I'm building in you. And now it begins. The living of what you believed, the movement that matches your revelation, the walking that matches what I promised. Don't delay it with more overthinking. Don't hold back because of who might not approve. This is between me and you, and I say go. I'm with you. Go with peace, not pressure. Go with clarity, not chaos. Go with rhythm, not rush. Go with reverence, not perfectionism. Go with me. And when the days come that feel confusing again, because they will, return to this truth. I never change. My word still stands, and my spirit still leads. You don't have to be constantly strong. You don't have to maintain an image. You just have to stay close. I'll keep guiding you as long as you stay surrendered. This is not a season of striving. It's a season of carrying. You're carrying the fullness of what I've spoken, but not alone. You're not carrying it by pressure. You're carrying it by presence. You're carrying it with me. So lift your head, loosen your shoulders, inhale deeply. You're not bracing for battle, you're receiving fulfillment. You're not stuck, you're sent. And I'm walking with you every step of the way. Amen. If these words reminded you that it's your time to walk again, don't walk away silently. Let this be a marked moment. Save it. Return to it. Share it. Because someone else is also waiting for the sound that says go. It's time.